Welcome to my podcast, Humble Lives Up Podcast. It's really a great privilege to have you guys here. Thank you so much for accepting my request. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I know how hard it is to put me in your time. I reached out to Angie and she's always like, you guys should just go figure it out anytime you're ready. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting us.
Oh, yeah. It feels like a great opportunity. I was like, we have a lot of stuff to talk about, and honestly, this is my first time saying this in public, but I just got my admission with my master's with Metropolitan State University. So I was like, you know what? I need to thank you to St. Cloud State because coming to United States, this has been my house, my home, and you guys have been my family. So I was like, it's very important to celebrates great people like you guys, doing so much extraordinary jobs for students, trying to make us feel at home, despite the fact that you guys have your own need, but you always put our need first. So, on behalf of every student, I would like to say thank you once again for all that.
Oh, thank you. It's so kind of you. But it is part of our job, but it's always refreshing and great to hear the successes that our students have, and then and also get a really honest thank you like you're giving to us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Honestly, I was thinking how not to put myself first. So I know we discussed about this. So I went to a lot of students. I was like, I'm trying to make this voice not my voice. But at the same time, I want to have a voice in it because I'm a part of the student that was privileged to go through you guys. So we came up with a bunch of questions which we're gonna ask you. So this is not gonna be like an interview. This is gonna be me representing a student and you doing your job, and we are just coming out to you guys. So I don't want you to
guys. Imagine a whole bunch of faces.
Yeah, a whole bunch of faces here.
It's not only you, it's a lot of many other people.
Yeah. Mike is there, I am here, we all are together. And starting this, would you guys mind give us a little background about yourself?
Sure.
We all know you to be
absolutely. And again, I think that's the honor and advantage to be at an institution for a long time because you really have seen a lot of students who have gone through this journey, and you feel like you've been part of that journey. So I think I need to go back to a little bit. I don't know, Angie, if you want to start first, but of course, I started a few years only before Angie. I had the privilege to be a student here at St. Cloud myself. And I think, and I was an international student as well. So, coming from a very a different country, originally I was born in Pakistan, got my education right after high school. And I think it became quite evident that St. Cloud is a very special kind of a place. For international students. And my journey definitely was very rich, and a lot of other people played a role in helping me to be who I am today. Of course, as part of that journey, I never really thought that one day I would be serving the students by being responsible for an office where I benefited from, as an international student as well. So now, as you know that I wear two hats. Many students over the years will know me as the Director of the Multicultural Student Services. Previously, it used to be Minority Student Programs. That's really what my home has been. Right after I graduated, finished my graduate assistantship, my graduate work, and I was a graduate assistant in this office, and that's how opportunities came for me to really lead the office in the Multicultural Student Services, which I gladly accepted it. What an honor it has been to serve that office, and seeing the growth of student population when we had only about 250 students what we classified as students of color at that time to today over 2,000 students who are as part of that population. So it's been an exciting journey from that. And since 2015 now, I'm also leading the international office, and that also comes a full journey in that respect, being an international student, benefiting from everything that St. Cloud State provided me, and then serving in one capacity and now really leading the office. And I think that really what makes me so passionate about serving students and making sure that we do everything what we can to make their journey not only rewarding, both academically, socially, personally, but at the same time, that they take a part of St. Cloud with them, so that it always stays with them, just like it is staying with me, and of course I'm part of it. And that really is what this work is all about.
Wow. Again, Angie.
Some similarities, some differences. I'm a Korean adoptee, so I was also not born in the United States, but I came here when I was about 8 months old. Grew up not very far from St. Cloud, only about 15-20 minutes from here.
Where's that?
Foley.
Foley.
So my growing up, it was very, I would say, a little more secluded, a little more isolated in that regard, not a lot of diversity. So anyway, I came to St. Cloud State after high school. And I tell the story, and I think sometimes people would think I would be a little embarrassed to share it, but it makes sense, I think, in my journey professionally. So I failed out of college the first time I attempted. Yes, a long time ago. And so I sat out of college for 10 years. Yes, and so I did a lot of retail jobs and stuff like that. But after sitting out for 10 years and really thinking about my life and the future, I felt like I had to go back and try college.
7 times.
Yes, and do better, right? So I came back, but what's interesting is I did not know that multicultural student services existed.
So you were just the type that come to campus and after class?
Yeah, because I was a 28-year-old freshman, right? So I came to college, I did my stuff, but I was working full-time. So I was working 45 hours a week, and then I was a full-time student. And then I finished, and I was very fortunate, and I always have to give credit to Julie Cruz, because I met her as I was graduating, and she asked me if I wanted to be a graduate assistant with Multicultural Student Services. And I had honestly planned on, I wanted to go to the East Coast and get a PhD, and I wanted to become a teacher.
You really liked school.
I did. And I thought, well, the one way I could continue to get paid to go to school would be to become a teacher. But the opportunity in MSS was really something I also couldn't ignore, right? If there's lessons you learn in life, I think it's that you take advantage of opportunities when they present themselves. And so I did take the assistantship with MSS and learned about MSS. And it was really, it matched perfectly kind of with,
What you wanted.
yeah, like my passions and my goals and things like that. And so finished, and then was really, really fortunate for a position to open up as I was finishing my coursework. So I was able to go straight from my graduate assistantship into a professional job. And it just aligned with everything that I wanted to do. Because, after failing out of college, and really, for a lot of people that you don't return, learned a lot of hard lessons, and it really fuels my passion for wanting to help remove barriers for students, provide opportunities for students, help them, find their own passions and loves. And
honestly, like you feeling out of school, I'm so glad we have this on camera, because like a lot of not because like not in a bad way, because a lot of students would be like, so if I drop out of school, is that the end of my school?
Yes.
Do I have a chance to go back to school? Do I have a second chance? Hearing your story now makes me feel like everybody has a second chance.
But she's also missing another part of the story
Okay.
that I think you should also share, if you're okay with it, that when the first time when she was a student and Multicultural Student Services at that time, and Dr. Fred Walker, who was a good colleague, and many students from many, many years ago will remember him as part of the Multicultural Student Services, he reached out to Angie. And Angie, actually, this is a story that he tells me, and both Angie has also said that it's true, that she came and she basically yelled at him and saying, "Why are you in my business?" And so I think that's why it's really important, and I'm glad that Angie wanted
It
to
feels a
share.
little uncomfortable. It's like,
Well,
yes.
yeah, but I think it's also comes full circle in terms of knowing why this work is important. And even when sometime it will feel uncomfortable, there will be students who will say, I don't want the help, don't be in my life.
Yes.
And we just have to stay on track to make sure that, it's nothing personal, but rather it's really is about what is our goal. We want more of our students to be successful, because when students are successful and they go and do big things in society, we all are successful.
Okay. So like personally, like when Angie was talking about 10 years, and I was telling somebody yesterday, I was like, I gave so much of my life to school that I felt like I had a need to graduate from school. Because like coming from Nigeria, I spent 5 years try going off and on, and my dad was like, you know what, this is a privilege. I think you are smart enough to like go to United States and compete with every other student. I wasn't seeing myself in that shoe. And when I came here, I couldn't transfer any of my credits. So I started from zero, which gives me 10 solid years last year when I graduated. So I'm like, oh, so I'm not alone in this story, because like I feel like 10 years was forever for me. It was like, and my dad was like, you know what, when you get your degree, it will be worth it.
Yes.
But when you drop out of school, then the 10 years is a waste. But when you finally get it, no matter how many years you spend,
Absolutely. He gave you a very good advice.
and I came back to school and I graduated last year, and so to me it was like, I wish I had the mentorship like this. So to me, why we're doing this podcast right now is because there's a lot of young adults like me that needs something like this from quality and sound people like you guys to like grow. It's just like a flower that you need to just put water on every morning. It's the growth may be slow, but eventually the flower will grow. So like, thank you so much.
And I think going back to the same thing what Angie has said, it's okay. Everybody's journey is a little bit different. And I think, your dad, your father gave you a sound advice, and that's really is an advice to say, doesn't matter when you start. We hope that you will finish it in 4 years, in 5 years, without help or with whatever support we can provide as an institution. However, as long as we stay engaged, we build that community. Even if you take a break, it's okay for you to take that break and come back. But the goal is, again, finish your degree, because it is so critical for the development of young people.
Okay, this leads me to this question. Why do we even need a degree? Because there's a lot of debate and conversation today like, oh, college is a waste. Oh, you're just going to be in debt. So why not just invest this money on yourself? So what would you guys give as advice to people today? Like, why should we go to college? Why should we have this college loan? Why should we spend our time trying to achieve this piece of paper?
We may both have a different point of view on that, but I think Angie's probably a more suitable person to answer. Yeah, why you could have stayed away from college? Why did you come back?
After working all kinds of awful retail
Retail
jobs,
jobs.
and what it is retail just wasn't my thing, right? It wasn't that people are anything awful, just that clearly was not my thing. I experienced and genuinely believe in the transformative power of an education. I have often, over the course of years, looked back and thought of moments where my experience at SCSU with faculty and the information and knowledge that like literally saved my life or changed the trajectory of where my life was going to go. And so you can't know that. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't going to know that on the front end starting college, but when I was sitting out there working what I felt to be soulless jobs, I finally one day thought there's got to be something more for me in this life than this. I felt there had to be more of a purpose. And what I was really looking for was meaningful work. And I think that's different for every person. And I think college and an education, and certainly at St. Cloud State, I was really able to find that. Where I was not finding that in the work I was doing, right? every day going to work, like that wasn't opening up for me. And so for me, that's why it was the right choice and why I believe it's the right choice for others as well.
You know, and then my story is a little bit different. I mean, as an international student, when you make so much investment, just like you shared, you have no choice but to finish your college and then, you know, go on. Because it's an opportunity that, you know, from that point of view, coming this far and you're coming with a purpose, and that purpose is really completion of education. Now, I mean, you know, being here and working in higher education, I understand the frustration of young people and a lot of other distractions probably that today's society is, you know, providing them. Or they may be, you know, I'm saying a distraction, but those might be opportunities in some ways. However, education and a college degree is one tool. It's not really the answer for all. It's just one tool in your life cycle. You're gonna get a lot of other skills, and sometimes, you know, you're gonna get opportunities, but with this tool and the skills you develop in life, you fully explore those opportunities that come your way. And I believe that a degree helps you in a very different way than just purely getting the skills.
So like I was telling somebody, I told that person, I was like, when I graduated from school, you know, you take 2 days to reflect. Like I literally sat on my bed and I'm like, wow, what has 10 years done in my life? So to me, it was like, it's not just having a degree, it's not just going to school, but the fact that I went to school and school went through me. I went through school, school went through me, because the landmark, the effect of school on me was how to actually like strategically put people together like this, how to manage my time. Like, I told one of my friends when I had no job, I was like, and the person was like, why do you even wake up every morning? You have no job, you can literally enjoy your life. And I'm like, you know what? This is a like later effect of school on my life. I just have to be up by 8 a.m., make sure I get my workout in, and just try to sit there in front of my computer, expecting something is gonna happen. Because like opportunities just don't come to you. You need to be ready to take advantage of that opportunity. And that's cool for you. It's not every day you go to class that you're gonna learn something very great, but there's gonna be that one day you go to class where you're gonna be like, dude, I think I know where I'm going with my life now. And most of the stuff like that come out of like maybe the class project. You're like, I think I'm interested in this. Because I had a class project where I did a construction, a green housing built from containers. You know, shipping containers. Researchers showed recently there's so much shipping container out there and they don't know how to get rid of them. So my project kind of like helped me to like make use of this container that is wasting by the seaboard to make low income housing. And people tell me, how are you gonna make housing? Yes, like in California, there's a container that was made out of like Burger King that was made out of a container.
Yes.
So when I tell people, I'm like, literally, instead of like changing the world by like trying to like build, you can build some. So I feel like these are one of those things that school get out of you. It's very defined. If you don't sit down to reflect on it, you won't get it. But at the end of the day, you know that this character I have right now was because I went to school. And school helped you not to be ignorant. I don't know if I'm right.
Yeah, absolutely. No, very well said. I think you're absolutely correct. I mean, you know, those are the kind of skills and you gain through the process, but in the end, education is, you know, your degree is just one other tool, you know, that you are going to be using it in your life skills.
Okay, so like this led me to working with MSS, the Multicultural Center.
Yeah.
How are you able to work with students with different backgrounds? Like you work with Asian students tomorrow, African students are here, next tomorrow, student from Europe are here. And how are you able to like, is it a strategic way you guys use to like maneuver? Like, okay, now we have to like act like European student, or like now we have to act like Asian student. Like,
yeah, you know, I'm so glad you're asking that question because not a lot of people really have understood that strategy. Okay, because I mean, as human beings, we tend to cluster where we are comfortable. So a lot of time, we talk about, which is okay. I mean, we all do. We all tend to do. We want to be around people who eat the same food. They have the same cultural kind of, experiences and all that stuff. However, institutions are not able to create those silos by just offering small centers. And I think while it's okay to feel comfortable who you are in your own community, I think we will do the biggest injustice to our students if we don't help them to also get out of their comfort zone and get to know other cultures.
Yeah.
Just like we talk about in this country about diversity, you only see from certain lens. I mean, the majority sees it from their lens and saying it should be the diversity where others should understand how the American values are, American culture is, and we say, well, we or people of color may see, well, they should understand the other cultures. But I think it's the same is true that, it's not just okay for our students of color just to hang around in their own cultural communities. So I think part of educational institution is, just like we are trying to really integrate all different student bodies, we also need to be very mindful to create opportunities for our students from different backgrounds to be able to experience cultures, at the same time feel safe, and that's our role. That's our role, rather than creating separate centers, that multicultural student services, and for us to really demonstrate that we may have, Angie comes with a very different background, I come with a very different background, and most of the other stuff, that we can definitely rise above and value who we are, but at the same time, we also are going to learn from one another, and we model it, and that's where I think is the beauty is at St. Cloud State. And you said it right. I mean, I'm so glad that you were paying attention to. You noticed that we have to be helping individual student groups to feel comfortable, be proud of their own identity, be able to share their own culture with the others, but at the same time, respect other groups, help other groups, and learn from one another and share that. And I think that's what we have been able to create through multicultural student service.
Wow. Okay. So Angie, this is my question for you. My question is, so what was the main reason why you created the program for diversity, power and diversity? and it's not just power and diversity in St. Cloud State, like every other campuses come. So that makes a few in St. Cloud State like, oh, despite the fact that we're diverse here, we can be diverse with other universities coming to St. Cloud State and coming together, and just the beauty of it is just like how everybody comes together. It's not just diversified by like culture on campus, but also diversified with different campuses.
Well, first I'll say thank you, but offer a small correction.
Okay.
That PIDC, Power Diversity Leadership Conference, was not my idea. There was a team of us, I would say, and it really was led by students. So students, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but like a lot of student groups have conferences specific to them, right? So like for our Hmong students, there's Hmong National Development, there's a conference for Hmong students, or there's, the Council of African American Students, they'll go to like Big 12. And those are good things, we support that. We want students to have opportunities to go and learn about their cultures, their communities, feel empowered, feel supported, that type of thing. But students were also saying that there wasn't a conference that existed that diversified the populations.
So like mainly like it was created by students?
It was it was in partnership with students. The idea, you sit around and you talk and you fantasize about ideas and things like that.
And I think, but if I can add, it goes in with the theme that I've been talking about in multicultural student services. We have to create that platform where all different groups can come together. Mm-hmm. And that's really what a way Harvard University, really taking our students to a different level where they become the host and inviting students from all over, and for them to be able to experience what a wonderful experience at St. Cloud State, where all these different groups work together, they celebrate one another, and they become part of this one larger community.
Wow.
because it truly is a student-led conference, and you're there on Saturday when it's, everybody comes in their cultural clothing if they choose to wear it, and it's just such a beautiful day because you can tell that the students are so welcoming and open
Yes.
to everyone, and they're learning about each other. And when the music is playing and there's,
Music from different
yeah,
countries.
from different countries, and students are teaching students from other cultures to dance to their dances, and like that's to me the most beautiful, powerful part of having something like that conference because you're right, it is the manifestation of like all of our work
Yes.
in how our students are. To me, like in that room at that time, our world is borderless,
Yes.
right? And our students are truly interacting and engaging with each other as though we are in a borderless world. And really, eventually that's what the work world, that professional
Yeah,
world
very true. Because
looks
like
more and more.
coming from outside, getting to the gate, we see like, oh, I'm African, oh, I'm this. But once we get into the room, powerful diversity, all we see is like people, partners. And we see beyond the color, we see beyond the accent people have. We all we see is the partnership and how students really want to like, oh, what are your goals in life? So we start talking, and from there, like one of those opportunities was my camera guy because we didn't know each other in campus, but like it was those extra curriculum we do because he's from East Africa and I'm from West Africa and I happen to speak French, so we just met and like this is my goal. And he's like, oh dude, I'm so
So
much
nice.
intense into like video and photographic and I was like, you love this and I love to talk. So it's just like, oh, we can make a team because you love like views and everything. And all I do is to talk, so we can be a team. And through St. Cloud State,
Yes.
and I'm pretty sure these are the goals. You want students to be able to like grow together
Absolutely.
and achieve because like it's all about being a team.
This is a perfect example of what really we hope for.
Yeah, and this is a perfect example of what you guys did because I was able to bring you and Angie together on the table and we're talking. So it's not me talking to one person, it's me talking to two of you because like this was what we're able to learn from you. We see you guys from the outside and all we see is teamwork. Honestly, sometimes I ask people, I'm like, who is the boss? You cannot tell because you see when you see when you see Shahzad here, like you're looking for Angie because like it's always something like that. So us students, like we see that and we emulate that a lot because we cherish that and how you guys are able to bring us together.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So this segment of this discussion will take me to the few testimonies I got from students, and I would like to read them because I don't know them. And let's go with this. So my first message comes from Anthony, and the first person here is he said Angie is super passionate about students. She was always kind and cool, and she honestly feels like someone I could go to on campus. And he said Shahzad has always been down for the cause. I still hold Shahzad for believing in me. He changed my life in many ways, and I always appreciate him for that. And he used the hashtag 100%. So, and here I have a message from Tayo. Says, oh, don't say my last name on chat. Okay. Tayo said, first off, I would like to thank you for all you've done for international students in St. Cloud State University. You have helped me out multiple times, and you've helped me on how to figure out how to maneuver and get enough time to pay my tuition fee. Said before my graduation, and I was really grateful for that because I was panicking. And he said, my question is, why and how did you decide you wanted to work in this field? So I think we can come back to the question.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, let me read one more testimony. So we'll go back to the podcast and we'll go back to the testimony again. So this testimony says, last semester when I was sick and I was hospitalized, Angie and CIS were always checking on me. They bought they bought me food and wanted to visit me, but they couldn't because of the hospital policy. It meant a lot to me, especially since I didn't have any family member around. I felt loved and cared. Okay, okay. I'm emotional about this
Feeling a
thing.
little, yeah.
And let's go back to Tyler's question. Why and how did you decide you wanted to be in this field?
I don't think we need to even answer that. I think Stone's testimony speak themselves or itself. That I think, there's always someone who helped each and every one of us to be where we are. And I think it's that passion to be able to not only give back in terms of through the job, but really feel that you have a duty and an important role to play in other people's life. And if you can do something and that can help them, they will do something for someone else. It's really great to know some of the testimony or some of the comments the students are making, but they're doing wonderful things. I mean, it's not about really us. It's about what are they doing in their communities and making a difference in other people's lives. That's really what is the passion.
I think for me, because my degrees were in like social responsibility, really, so I was very much honestly trained more to be an activist than working within a structure. But what I found is that I am so lucky to be able to have a job that really doesn't feel like a job, where every day, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, I get to bring my passion, my beliefs, my values that I want to do in the world to work with me and my life as well. So while the testimonials are wonderful, and of course, it makes a person feel nice, but I think what's so interesting is that's the stuff that isn't work to us, right? That's why I say it's so simple because it's about my values and my beliefs because we do it naturally. Like if I hear somebody say, I don't see somebody for a while, I text and that's not work. That's not an activity that gets told to me. It's just that's part of how we operate. If you're really going to do what you say to do, and to me, that's where it comes down to that activism, social justice work, that kind of thing, right? This work to me is that in practice. I sat in classrooms for many years learning about what that's supposed to look like. But in reality, this is how it gets done. I feel like the way we operate is and remains to be more grassroots, community-based, relationship-based. And that is critical to, I feel like, our community successes, right? Whether it's our own personal communities or the larger community. A better friend, a better citizen, locally and globally. And so for me, it's all come together very nicely. I'm very fortunate. I wish for everyone that in their journey through education and college, they can find a way to bring those things together. They can have like that joy and meaningfulness.
To your passion.
But this is actually, if I can elaborate a little bit, this is the beauty of a team. That Angie brings that passion. She has the education about activism and really social responsibility. I'm more practical about systems and looking at where the system barriers are and how we're going to really remove those barriers with that goal. And so that's where the beauty is. I mean, we work together and then other members of the team, again, with that goal of really helping the student to be successful. Approaches are different. Some has to be, he's calling those students at home, sending a text, haven't seen you. And I'm looking at why the system is not allowing the student to complete their passion, their goal. And what can we do?
Oh, remember, like one of my last semesters, like because it was during the COVID time, and my father, as a man, like very, 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 we find it very hard to like speak up our mind because society has shook men to the point where you cannot be vulnerable because you're a man. You just need to chin up, strong. And my dad couldn't tell me, son, it's kind of tough for me. So you should think of a way to make your school go. But at this point of time, very hard on me financially. So I ran to Shahzad and I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know if you're the right person. You know, sometimes we have resources on campus we don't even know we have. So my chance was like, Shahzad is so sweet and kind on campus. I think I should be able to talk to him. I didn't know he could do that. I didn't know he was in the right position because I don't know what resources we had. And you said, oh, sure, I'll get that done. I was like, okay. And he said, just leave me your email and I will get in touch with you. And I was like, no, I think you should go to the student department to tell them to take away my loaner. He said, no, just give me an email. I was like, just an email? Because I don't understand what I had on campus.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, this is really exactly the point. So we know where the system barriers are. So why would I put you back into the system again? But rather we know this is a barrier, and knowing the individual student's need, what really we can do in our power to advocate. Okay. There's an advocacy, that Angie is really talking about. It does not come about just really feeling, we are here to support you, but it's also is about sometimes to look at where the barrier in the system is and how we can be there with you to change that. For the time being, I hope that it can be changed forever. And actually, this example that the student has really shared about the balance sword, and I think that's what really, again, those are good policies that institutions have. However, those good policies impact different students differently. And that's the part, those of us who are passionate about our work, we need to know that first, and secondly, advocate on those things. That policy actually, or that kind of a support, actually is working for all students. I mean, the president has been really kind in terms of, advocating for all students. And guess what? Now, many students are benefiting from providing that leniency during this COVID time.
Honestly, and
Not stopping them from
some
access to
students told me, they said, the reason why they transferred to a different university and they transferred back to St. Cloud State, because they said the policy and the privilege they get in St. Cloud State is no other institution they've gone to that offers them the same opportunity.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, I do want to clarify. Do we waive tuition? Do we waive or take all those things away? No, of course
You
not.
just walk with students.
We walk with the students, we help, and then we are also advocating for systems to be responsible to different needs of the students at different times. And if we could not be responsive to the students during the COVID time, I don't know when else we could.
Okay, and this will lead me to my next question. Okay, it's more of a rumor, but I want to ask on here to the right people and see if that was true. All right. So they said in the United States, St. Cloud State was one of the first institutions that decided to stand up with students when there was a new law. You remember the new policy that says every international student should go back home, go back to their various country, and they can take classes online. That was a very tough time, and every student were like, dude, what are we going to do? Are we going back home? How are we going to get internet? And St. Cloud State happened to be the first institution. I remember we got an email from you saying, oh, we understand what is going on, we understand, we stand with you guys, and we will find something to do about it. Honestly, to me, that was like, you know how stuff dissolve in water? Every student was like, I hope they can do it. Because it was a breath-catching email. Because we were panicking so much, and every student didn't know. So I want to know this, just to confirm.
Yeah.
Was this from you guys? Did you know St. Cloud State was one of the first institutions that actually stood with students in that moment, like beginning of COVID, where we say you guys don't have to panic about it?
I hope every institution stood with their students, so I cannot speak of.
I know they
students.
did later on.
However, I think, there was a lot of misinformation and rumors because COVID was really disrupting everything, including what happens to international students. The campuses are closed. They can live on campus in their dorms, or they have to go away. Well, where do they go away if they're living on campus? So we made a decision, St. Cloud State President, that yes, the residences will stay open for those students who do not have another home state or within the United States or family members in there. At the same time, while the USCIS or the government may have been looking at all different kind of options, yes, our president did sign with other presidents a letter strongly advocating not to implement that policy where every international student has to. That would have been detrimental, really, not only the completion of the education for many of the international students, but also to the economy, to the well-being of the different communities. So there were a lot of different impacts with that kind of a decision if it would have been made. That would have been. So again, policy became flexible. Students were able to have online courses either by staying in US or going home, which we believe have benefited international students.
So those who can afford going went, and those who want to stay, stay. Well, who should we give the thanks to? Is it to you?
No,
I think because
it's
the image is big.
Yeah, it's really, I think it's the Secretary of State and the president. I think, with her leadership, her guidance, of course, we always have brought policy issues to her, and she has been very, very supportive of all policies that negatively impact international students. Actually, all students, but specifically international students. How do we change those to make it more suitable for our different populations?
Well, thank you. Angie, do you have anything to say about that?
No,
The big news?
that's more, I mean, it's a nice.
It was a big news. And
So
thinking about who brought the law was the former president of the United States of America. So that was very serious.
Yeah, the government definitely was considering very many different options, and I think the advocacy that happened nationwide, including our president signing on that petition, I think played a powerful role for government to not implement such.
So much. Thank you so much. And that leads me to this question with the dilemma of COVID-19. There was a lot of crisis. Students were forced to be by themselves in their room. It was very difficult for every student. And that reminds me, I ran to you guys during the COVID time, and I was like, something going on. So there was a lot of mental health crisis. So how were you guys able to impact students? Even though we're still under the mental health crisis right now, because a lot of stay at home led to loneliness, and people were going through a lot of depression by not being around their family or the friends they love or being in class. How were you able to handle the case, the dilemma state, where everybody was confused? I ran to you guys oh, my friend is going through this, and you guys gave me such a beautiful advice. Call his parent, do this plan. If you need anything, call us back and let us know how well. Honestly, everything plays in a role together from us to set up this to say thank you. Not just a thank you in your office where nobody would know what you need. Let's just thank you guys on here. Let's thank you so the world can know there's a lot of very genius people. And that would make me say, and you two appear to be Asian American. And with the dilemma of COVID-19 where there was a huge hate coming out for the Asian community. But whereas we see other Asian, some Asian leaders on campus fighting for everybody to have a beautiful life. So we want to thank you. I want you to tell us how were you able to go through the hate and at the same time paying people back with love.
So the sentimental side of it is we're not going to. But I think, when students come to us, the hard part about answering your question is that it really is when someone comes and they have a particular need or needs, really is, for me, it's a combination of, right, people need to be heard. And I always say one of the wonderful things about our job is get paid to come and do some pretty, honestly, some very simple things. If you think about it, right? Come in, talk to us, And then we try to strategize, right? So you heard, but then also that we'll try to see the way out. I need to believe that there's always a way out. Might not be the way we want it, but I need to believe that there's always solutions of some sort, or partial solutions, or at least a step that can be provided, maybe not. Right? So for me, it's looking at it. That's also more, that's the very immediate stuff, and then you kind of try to look long term. So it's trying to help a student at that very moment when they're feeling desperate, maybe ashamed, very, very vulnerable, like that's the biggest thing right there. Then the solutions. And honestly, it's the privilege that people are willing to come and share those things with us, right? Because some of the way that we're able to do the work that we do is community building and in the relationship building. There, students come to us that we've honestly never met, but it's because one or two or three people out referred someone to us too. And so that's also a great responsibility, knowing and understanding the relationship that people understand our office to have with the community, that we can't take that lightly. You know what I'm saying? So it's very much about maintaining the integrity of.
Angie spoke very candidly from the heart in terms of really, it's about each individual. It's about really meeting the needs of people. But then, from my point of view, we also have groups of students who are from those communities. So, Hmong students here, are Asian immigrants, right, in the state of Minnesota, or be it Chinese students who are international students. We have a large cohort of them. So from the institution point of view, and this is where President was very instrumental, that reaching out to those groups, or those cohort of groups, to really listen to them and let them know that we hear and we see what is going on. We are here to support you. And through the extended support system that we have, counseling centers, life and development, residential life, our individual office, we become that conduit and give that hope to individual students. So it works at an institutional level, be sending that message, then having really the very genuine kind of people like Angie who are there when even she doesn't know who they are. Somebody said, come to you. And she's there to help them.
So in this tough situation where students are more vulnerable, so like what is happening in the community, like you being a mother, give you like a grasp on how to like handle this situation better. When student like coming in very vulnerable, they're crying, running to you, and you being a father, and you like, okay, this is how I'm gonna advise my kid. Does you being a parent like actually like play a part in this?
Well, it's a lot of responsibility to be a parent. I mean, I will never claim that we will ever meet the needs of the students the way their parents will ever. But I think, it's more about being there for them, however they need us. If they need a brother, we're there. If they need a sister or a mother, or just a community member, or just someone who has gone through that journey and have had the similar experience. So it all really is. It's a combination of all that, and it's not about really. As a parent, you will also get upset with the students, with the children when they disappoint. We have no, we don't have any right to
So
do
there's
this.
still a limitation.
And I think it's really is about. Of course, we can be very, very straightforward in saying, yes, this was not really a good way to handle the situation, but let's figure it out now. What are you going to do? Let's not repeat it.
And you being a mother, does it like
Oh, it certainly influences, but like I said too, it's also helped me be a better mother. My daughter's 14, she's a teenager and closer to college age, and so I feel like this job is also helping me get very, very prepared for the next few years. But I do think I joke and I say I was never meant to deal with like college age students. I like the
Ready to
honesty and the candor that you can have with them. But I really think for me, a lot of it stems from going back to when you first asked us about our stories. I don't want to see anybody not, make the mistakes that I made and then suffer some of the consequences that I made. So if there's any way I can help avoid that, people still have to learn their own lessons and their own paths. But if we can, when we have those opportunities to have conversations, to just, my approach is really like, let's just lay all the options on the table. These are the options that I can. Now knowing that information, what would you like to do? Let's run each scenario. Let's think through. Because I want people to make educated and informed decisions. I feel like if anything, maybe I wasn't doing that the first time around when I was failing out of college. Of not thinking of consequences. So for me, it's a lot. Just, if you're gonna make the decision, just understand it. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes you have to, sometimes there's choices that do have to be made.
And that leads me to this question. How do you maintain your identity, your true identity, like being an Asian American? How are you able to like maintain it? Despite the fact that I'm American, despite the fact that I'm a model, how do you still true identity? Because the beauty of the United States of America is the mixture of everything in the same part. To give us that rainbow color, that beautiful color. So how are you able to like say, okay, despite the fact that I have to play a role that I'm Americanized, but how do I portray my culture, my identity to people? Because always when I do my thing, I'm like, put my accent on the side. I'm a real African guy and I love it. Kind of, and I always trying to bring it in because like this is a beautiful part of my culture that I feel like people need to learn. And I always tell them that. So like my charisma, my friends will always tell me, why do you love this country so much? I'm like, I don't know, it's just in my blood. I just have to like showcase every time that okay, I'm an African guy from West Africa of two different countries because my mom is Ivorian, which speaks French, and my dad is Nigerian, he speaks English. And now this is the product. So I always try to tell people that I'm African, but I'm not just African. I'm Ivorian Nigerian. So I always want to tell people, don't miss me. I'm not just so. How are you able to like be professional and still maintain this like identity? Like,
I was laughing. Humor translates well, but
yes.
I always joke that I'm like Asian in training, because I was adopted. So I did not grow up in my home country with a language, anything like that. So for me, college, St. Cloud State, wonderful professors. My identity was developed and formed here through education. That's why I feel like education is, and why I've said it really saved my life because it helped me begin to learn who I am. Right? But when we talk about identity, it's a very fluid thing. It's not. So my identity today is definitely not because when I was yelling at Dr. Fred Walker to stay out of my business, right? And so it's, I love, I really love like our students who come from places where they have really grown. I wish for that, right? At the same time, I love that I feel very comfortable moving in and out all of our student populations. I don't feel, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's an interesting thing because identity is so important, knowing where you come from. And when I see that in people, it's a thing that I'm envious about in a way because it's just something that I didn't have. But I love
But like
to be around.
being around like student, does that make you kind of like, oh, is this what my identity looks like? Do you
It's
emulate
like
something from
pieces,
student? Oh, okay.
even like faith and religion, you know, like
Yes.
I talk to students who come from all backgrounds.
Yes.
And when I talk to them and they tell me their stories, I think, okay, that makes sense. And then I talk to another one, he tells me their faith and background, and I say, okay, that one makes sense. So it's, you know, so to have to like land on one thing seems too small. Like it doesn't, right? I
It's a
think-
bigger picture.
Yes.
Wow.
You know, and my identity development has been a very different process because coming as an international student, I knew where I was coming from. I knew who I was. And then coming over here and staying international student until I really adopted this country as my country, then it's that the process changed in terms of that how do you really be comfortable in who you are, what your identity is, and how you fit in this nation that you have adopted as your homeland now. And I think that's really what kind of goes into our work in terms of helping the students, because we work with the immigrant students on the multicultural student side, on the international student side. I mean, you know, there's international students coming from all over the world. And I think that's what really is embedded in our work, to help each and everyone feel comfortable with who they are. Because that is so critical, and especially more for immigrant families and for the immigrant students who come. Angie just shared with you, growing up as as an adoptee, it's a very different experience. And then, you know, learning that later on. So if we can help our students who are graduating from high school here, whose families are immigrant family, we have a large Somali community in St. Cloud, we have a Lebanese community, we also have the Hmong students are Asian, from Vietnam and Cambodia, and from Korean population also. So each and every one, knowing who they are and helping them to be comfortable with, I think is the key. And that really comes from our heart because we ourselves are comfortable. You know, my biggest reward was this last year after working 30 years at St. Cloud State.
Wow.
And you know, of course, you get recognized with the years of service. But the biggest reward that I got was from my own staff, that they put that brick, they created this brick which is out on the Husky Plaza. I have the students come back to see it. Really, it says a global citizen established the year when I started working at St. Cloud State.
Wow.
And you know, I mean, I never really realized it, that people see that, my comfortness in my own identity, and then to be able to have a desire and respect for each and every culture that I experience and the students come from. I always tell people that I can literally get off the plane in any country and I'll be comfortable, because that's an attitude that you develop, and it's all within us, that how we train ourselves and how we really make ourselves to be comfortable no matter what environment it is.
Okay. And that led me to this very, very nice question, because like my podcast, this project is mainly about the wrong perspective the word portray, and this is the actual me. So I actually bring people on my podcast to actually say, okay, this is you. We all know how the word feels like, but from you, what's the uniqueness? So this question is like, what are some misconceptions of your professionalism, your position on campus?
Wow.
What are some
You saved
misconceptions?
a tough
you
one
want
for
to
the
say?
last time.
Yeah, I mean, we have been talking actually today, we had a staff meeting, and you know, like anything, you have to evolve. And our professions, our role in higher education, as higher education is evolving, as campuses are becoming more and more diverse, we also have to understand that. So because we have a large number of students of color, international students on our campus, can we just simply say we have transformed? And there's no need really for offices like ours or people like us, because they're offices who are designed to be serving students with financial aid, students with mental health, with advising, And everybody needs those things. So it's not about, and now we have a large number of students with diversity, so one office is not going to be able to serve, everybody should be able to integrate. Yes, that's a very good hope that we will become a society that where we do not discriminate based on who you are.
Yeah, that's the ideal definition of that.
That's the idea. And actually, I was naive at one time when I started 30 years ago. I truly believe, coming from outside
Yes.
and really looking at the opportunities that exist and the work that is being done in higher education, I truly thought that offices like ours, which was minority student programs at that time, and we knew that the minority is going to be majority. And of course, we changed the name with the multicultural student services later on, that there should not be a need for these offices. Because we will truly will evolve to where there will not be any discrimination based on. And I think I was naive. And
Why did you say that?
because I truly believe that at higher education that you want to be a model
Okay.
and people who truly want to be about making lives, make everybody's lives better. And then I think we should believe in that can happen. However, what I really didn't know that we still bring our own biases.
Yes, we do.
And I thought that maybe in a certain profession like in education, we will really elevate to the level that the biases won't exist.
We'll just melt and become one thing. I mean,
I didn't think that it will, but at least there was a hope.
there's a hope. Yeah, I love that word. Because honestly, I feel the reason why I feel we need it, because as far as we're going to have freshmen, which have never been on campus, that don't know the culture on campus, there's always going to be a new mindset. So in order to keep them like, okay, we have a way of living a life in this place. So we need this department to restructure every freshman, because I know like when the foundation is well done, you don't have to worry about the rest of construction, because that's the construction. But when the foundation is faulty, then you have to stick to the workers to the end of the construction, because now you don't trust the foundation. So to me, I feel like the main importance of MSS is the freshmen, because when you catch them young and you teach them the ideal, what we call ideal in our head, that this is what we think. Because I remember there was a year where there was like a poster on campus that said, make this thing better, make this, which was a division. And when we trace back to the story, the narration goes like, these are freshman students that created a student organization. And they feel like, oh, freedom of speech. Yeah, you can have your freedom of speech, but there's a way to regulate what you say. By the time you start saying things that makes other people feel uncomfortable, that's not what we are all about. So I feel like they learned about it. They said they are sorry, but if we let that go, every new student are going to bring different pictures to the campus. So that's where my own decision was like, we need to have this structure because we're going to have freshmen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, sometimes that continues on into the sophomore and there's other kind of needs also that exist. But no, I think, you have articulated it very well. And, thank you for giving us the encouragement. No, seriously, because, like anything in life, you come to a point and say, you still have a purpose? And, is it...
we love you. If we're gonna have you forever, we want to have you forever, and we want to keep you guys forever. I wouldn't like every new student to miss this opportunity. Not knowing you. Your prayers and your wishes, like there's gonna be a lot of great more people that will come after you, but it's something everybody will miss. We will miss this. And any student that never got to know you when you leave, I will tell them they missed out of a great part. Yeah.
Now we just hope that exactly the foundation we have built, that others will continue with the same passion. Of course, we are, like all human beings, there's a time that we all have to, go on to do other things in life. But we hope that this foundation that we have built, and with the encouragement and the testimonies from the students that we have heard from you today, that there will be continuously people like us who will come behind us, and they will be able to do better than what we have been able to do.
Angie,
One of the things I think, and I probably don't get a chance to say this often publicly, so I will, the reason for me why my job is so much easier is, because there was a strong team for a long time, with Shahzad and Fred and Sean and Julie for so many years. All of the work that I get to do is because those pathways were already set. I didn't have to create new pathways. And I think, in fact, you don't know this, I was just talking to Chi today about it, a friend of mine, sorry. Just about like that I'm so fortunate because when I come to work, and even though, I can say the struggle is real, the fight is right,
Yes.
but that it's so much easier because I don't have to invent some of the things that we need to do. The path is there. Sometimes, all organizations have challenges and things like that, and so sometimes those pathways might be a little roadblocked or muddy, but at least they were there, and I can refer to them versus trying to build something from scratch. So there really is a testimony to the work that has been done far before I got here. But like you said, I really do hope that it continues after.
I will hope so.
But she's playing an important role to continue that tradition.
Oh, yes.
And there will be others who will come behind her.
And like, not everybody can maintain something that's already well done. Some people just come and they just mess the picture up.
I
But
know, they say things about the first generation and the second generation.
and then the higher it goes, the weaker it
The
becomes.
family business by what is the third generation?
Yeah, there's so much money they don't want to work for. Like,
Yes,
it's like
exactly.
the money's here. But well, thank you so much for accepting my request. Thank you so much for like spending time to hang out with me.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to all the people who responded to you and sent testimonials and questions and things like that. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, I will when Mike is editing, I will make sure like we screenshot and like put all the testimonies on the screen, even the ones we're not able to read today. So it can be a lifetime.
That is really cool.
No, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I mean, I had no clue. I thought, mass comm students who come and they interview and, I said, okay, I have no problem talking from the heart. I will continue. That's why when you were coming yesterday with the question, I said,
Well, I obviously I'm not a mass comm student. I just wanted to hang out with you guys. Even this is gonna be my last time hanging out in St. Cloud with you.
Yeah.
I feel so much satisfied and pleased.
No,
and I'm
thank you.
pretty sure every other student like me, we feel the same way. They would love to see this video.
Can you take a photo for three of us in action?
Yeah.
And so we'll remember it.